Hello and welcome to this week's edition of the Coach's Preview Show. We have a big game tonight, Brentwood, Centennial. We're going to look at the girls' side first. We're joined by Coach Myles, Thrash, Coach Shirley. You guys are seasoned veterans on the Coach's Preview Show this year, so I expect you fully to give me a full game report of what's going to happen, scatter report. Coach Simmons, unfortunately, couldn't be with us, so we're going to talk a little bit on the girls' side first. Coach Thrash, 15-9, 8-6, and the current seeding right now, number 5 for the Lady Bruins. You have lost 3 in a row. Don't want to dwell on that, but some at 54-52, Page 57-49, Ravenwood 50-37. We've talked about all year. Your team is young. What do we do to flip the script on this?
Well, get back to the drawing board. We go all the way back to the fundamentals and the basics is what we've done the last couple of practices. You know, coming up, you probably say a loss is not good for you, but for our team, I think it helped us because it humbles us, one, and also shows us what work we need to be done to get successful.
So would you say, if you go back and look and you go all the way back to the fundamentals, obviously fundamentals is always important, but some simple possessions here or there, maybe a stronger pass or meeting the pass, or just a typical as far down as a front turn, rear turn, and not getting the loose ball knocked out of your hand.
Yeah.
Is that something that you think, at a possession, if you took one possession back, the outcome would be different?
Yeah, no doubt about it. We have some very talented girls, young girls, and they feel like they can do it all, so sometimes you get that attitude, you're going to make mistakes and you're going to have a lot of errors. And that's been our case sometimes. And right now we want to get back to the simple things, take it one play at a time.
We've got the Trucial twins, Emily and Delaney. Emily averaging right at 16, 17 points per game. Delaney 13. Amelia Osgood, 17 points per game. As we come down the stretch, Coach Shirley knows well, you both know well, this thing it's up in the air. We were talking off the air about potential seedings, what's going to happen in the 11 AAA tournament. We have 2 games to play. We have tonight's game, and you've got next week, and you've got remaining Indy at home. Yeah. And you're sitting right now in the district 8-6, potentially putting you at 10-6 with both wins. And that could potentially put you in 4th place. That would be the 4-5 game. What's the importance of being number 4?
Well, the importance of being number 4, if you want to host that game, that first game, to get to the second round in the quarter. So you definitely want to be in 4th or 3rd.
So you got 4th place, and you can finish all the way up to 3rd if you get 10 wins, and Summit's sitting at 9 right now if they do not win again. That importance of the way we got 11 AAA set up, 1 through 4 will host the first round of the district tournament. 5 through 8, 8 and 9 game is a playing game, and the winner of that goes to 1. The rest of the remaining come to those sites, and it's so important. And you all know, Coach Shirley, the tightness that can potentially happen in that first round district game. I go all the way back to thinking a couple of years ago, the same year that you guys went to the state tournament, Coach Glass had lost 7 games in a row and won his last regular season game to get in a particular seed, had to go on the road and won, and next thing you know, it could happen just like that, all the way to state tournament.
Without a doubt, even though they're young, a lot of those girls were on a team that made a run last year to the sub-state. So even though they are still younger players, they have had the experience already. So I think that could easily be a benefit for them in the future.
We've talked all year on the other show, on the Sports Connection show. I firmly believe that Brentwood will be one of the 4 teams. The Lady Bruins will be going and traveling to Dixon. So I need you to make that become a reality to make me look like a genius, right? So I need all the help I can get in that category, by the way. Battle of the Woods at Ravenwood, 50-37. Talk a little bit about that game. It's a learning point. That atmosphere was electric, man. Lots of people there. 50-37. Ravenwood's kind of coming on here late as one of those teams you kind of got to be wary of. So take us through that game right there, 50-37.
Yeah, I want to first off give them credit because they had a well-executed game plan. They played well. They did some things we didn't expect, And I thought on our end, we didn't play to the level that we are capable of playing. We let the emotions get the best of us, and we wanted to go out and just play hard instead of playing a little bit smarter. It was times where we had the game where we could have got back in it and got control of the game, and we didn't execute some plays. So,
So, in the present situation, Amelia Osgood, Trucial twins, on the recruiting radar, they're getting some traction, getting some looks from people.
Yeah, yeah.
And I figured they are. And, they're really good players. Osgood is a great point guard. I kind of put her in the category of the Ben Mills on the girls' side. She's probably the most improved player, and she's got a ton of cap space to go.
Yeah.
I think Ben has been the most improved player on the boys' side in 11 AAA, going from a role player to a double-double machine. Amelia Osgood going from a really good, I hate to use the word role player, but in the lineup to wow factor, right? And it can be a games changer.
Yeah.
Talk about them in practice. I mean, what's the competitiveness like in practice?
Oh man, they're very competitive. She really has a lot of fire about herself. She prepares well. She's the first girl in the gym, last one to leave. She's a gym rat. She's always in the gym. And what I like about this team the most, they love practice. Most teams are coming in, especially on the girls' side, they're looking at their watch and they're wondering when is practice over. Well, they like to practice. So, yeah.
I'll look back at your Page game. Page, Lady Patriots, I don't know that anybody could have seen that coming as far as what they've done this year. 23 wins, 3 losses, 14-1 in 11 AAA. They've locked up the #1 seed. It's pretty impressive. But you look at your score, 57-49, you were right there, but some other teams that have taken them to the wire. Talk about the second half of the season and how whatever happens the first usually flips. If you get beat 20-30, next thing you know, you're right there. I think there was a game last night or earlier this week with Independence and Dixon that kind of brings that to mind to me. As you play this second time, it's hard. People are more prepared. Things are going on.
Yeah. Well, in this district, definitely everybody does a really, really good job coaching and preparing for teams and scouting and watching tape. So they do a really, really good job. And also a lot of skill development as well. Players get better, coaches get better, and, it's really fun to watch, So, yeah.
Well, you play Centennial tonight. Centennial is coming in 4-19, 1-13 in 11 AAA. Coach Simmons has had a ton of injuries. I mean, it's just been injury plagued all year long. He's young as well. Starting a lot of freshmen having to play. He's lost some games in a row. So he's not here. So I'm going to ask you to give me a scouting report. Last time, when you were with the other coach, you didn't want to give it up. So let's give it up. He's not going to be able to see this till after the fact. So give me a scouting report on Centennial Lady Cougars.
Oh, man. It's not much about them. We want to try to make this game about us as much as possible. Just getting back to our basics and going out and executing our game plan the best way we can. As far as them, we just want to really try to speed them up and put some of those younger girls in different and awkward positions. And hopefully we'll come out on that.
What's some things you're looking to improve on in this game specifically?
Our decision making. We got to get back to moving the ball a little bit faster. Shooting it better as well. We hadn't shot it great as of late.
How difficult is it to keep your girls focused? It's late in the season. You've got 2 games left. You think and coming into this game, we're going to be the favorites. We ought to win. You look at the records on paper. How do you keep them focused to make sure we don't overlook this game and overlook the remaining game against Independence?
Yeah.
Because we're 2 games away from showtime. Yeah. It's hard to believe that it's already here, but you got to be clicking on cylinders right now and focused.
Well, we rededicate ourselves to our #1 focus in the beginning of the year. We sat down and we talked about reaching a higher level and getting back to where we were last year and probably surpassing that. So in order to get back to that, we got to take care of these.
Coach Shirley, I know you're not on the bench with them, but I know y'all are good friends. You talk, y'all work together on the boys' side. From a perspective of a coach that's had some extreme success this year, you've 3 years you've been in the WCS Sports Conference, 3 years you've won 20 games. Congratulations on that, by the way. 26, 25, and 20, and you're not finished this year. So that's impressive. That's hard to do. It's one of those milestones you don't hang your hat on, but it is nice to know, we've won 20 games, and it's hard in basketball. But my point, how much do y'all talk about the girls' side? I know that he asks you questions, y'all bounce stuff off each other.
That's what's exciting. It's a basketball program. We talk after every game, especially if one of us do not have a rough night. So there's a phone call, and he knows I care about the girls' basketball team. I have a lot of the girls in class. And like I said, the cool part is it is an actual basketball program.
Yeah.
And it's always nice to have support, man, both
Yeah.
ways.
No doubt.
I love to see that. I love to see the help. I love to see the crossover. I want to see you on the girls' bench one. I'm just kidding. I love to see that, though. I do. I love to see y'all help each other out, and it, you know, it feels like a family. It feels tight knit. It's one of those things that y'all respect each other enough that if you have an opinion that, you know, nobody's going to get offended. We say what we got to do because we know best interest at heart. We want both of them to win. So, well, congratulations on the season this year. You're going to get things turned around. You will be one of the 4 that goes to Dixon. I'm going to go ahead and put you on the spot right here, right now on this show. People's going to be rewinding this at me, so don't make me look bad. Coach Thrash, best of luck tonight. When we come back, we'll look at the boys' side of the Centennial Brentwood matchup. Stay with us. Welcome back to the Coach's Preview Show. Now we're looking at the boys' side of tonight's big matchup, 11 AAA, Brentwood at Centennial. This is by far the best game of the night in 11 AAA, one of the best games of the year. You look at it, guys, on paper. It's a 3-dog race right now between Franklin, Brentwood, Centennial, but you can take, that's just on paper, and we all know, we talked about it off air, that if you look at this list, anybody on any given night, 1 through 8 is going to beat you or could beat you.
No question. That's what makes it fun.
Coach Froedden, this is your first time here this year. Welcome to the show. Coach Shirley, like I said earlier, is a seasoned veteran, so you got to talk your way out of this one, okay? So you get the most talking points in here. 8-9 game, Indy, Spring Hill, that's locked up. They'll have to play for the right to get the number 1 spot. Right now, Franklin's sitting at 13-1. Brentwood is at 12-2. You guys are at 10-4 and sitting in third. Dixon 8-6. Summit 6-8. Page 6-9. Or Avonwood 6-9. We got a log jam. And I think the way we looked at it earlier, correct me if I'm wrong, is it 3rd through 7th? You could almost, it could go, a lot of them could go either way. Is that right? Or is it 4th through 7th? I think it's 4th through 7th.
4th through 7th.
4th through 7th can go any direction.
Yep.
So we really don't know the matchups yet. If it was played tonight, obviously Centennial would play Page at home. Brentwood would play Ravenwood at home, Battle of the Woods. That would be, I mean, that's crazy to even think that matchup would even happen on paper, you know. But there's a lot of games to be played.
Right.
Coach, you are sitting right now 17-9, 10-4 in 11 AAA. You did lose the Battle of Franklin on night, 47-45, in another nail-biter. Y'all have played twice now, and the game has been decided by a total of 4 points, one way for you and one way for them. That just goes to show the difference between first and third right now. And I think your game as well has come down to a 2-point game and what, a 1-point game or a 2-point game. So the total of these games have been crazy. The first time you guys played, 2-point differential. Talk about the top 3 teams right now.
Well, you got
Talk
good
about all
coaching.
the teams.
Yeah, you got good coaching in our league, and you know teams are going to be prepared. You know, you watch them outside of the league, and you watch guys score 60 points and different things like 70 points, and then when you play each other, it's going to be 45 to 46, and it's just going to be a battle because the coaches do such a great job of scouting, and the kids do a great job of picking up tendencies, and it's tough to score in the league, and you know what you're going to get every night. You're going to get a battle, and so it's fun.
Well, you've lost 2 of your last 3. People could almost push the panic button, but when you start looking at that quality of opponent that you had, obviously the Franklin lost, and you played Brentwood Academy on Saturday, got beat 7. I know you're not in it for moral victories, but a lot of people would think, I mean, they're the ranked 3rd in the mid-state right now. You're right there with them. Probably in your mind could go back a few possessions and get a W out of that game. And then you beat Spring Hill earlier this week. Coach Shirley, you've won 5 in a row. Your team has really been, I think it's awesome because you've been tested by fire here these last few games. People have stepped up. Harry Lackey in particular, if you start thinking about this page, 48-47, he scores, I think, 6 of the last 9 with a minute to go by himself to give you the win in that Page game.
Definitely. That's the thing about this team. There's so many different players that have stepped up during the year. Harry Lackey had a great week last week. So did Cole Massey, who got picked player of the week from Williamson County. Shot an unbelievable percentage. You know, Preston Moore double digits. Ben Mills, all the way down the line. Joey McPherson, John Franklin Bird, John Winley. We've had 7, 8 players that consistently, different players have stepped up each night.
And you won the Battle of Woods last Friday night, 64-57. You were off the Tuesday of this week. Talk about the Battle of the Woods and how important that is and what kind of atmosphere that was.
What a great atmosphere. Most high school players don't really understand how it is to be in a Brentwood, Ravenwood. I'm sure Franklin, Centennial, all 3 rival games. Most players back in Florida, they don't have any clue how it is to be in that kind of environment.
We were talking about that the other night at the after party. It's really, I hope our kids do not take it for granted. You look at those 3 games that happened on that night. Y'all's game was, your game was on TV. Channel 30 was salivating at the fact that they had a backdrop like that. They had a game like that. I mean, they were like, thank you, thank you, thank you. And I was like, well, I didn't do anything with it. I mean, I didn't play the game. But you look at all their other games that they put on TV. Nobody has a crowd like that.
Right.
And they could have come to your place and it would have looked identical. They could have gone down to the Summit game. It would have looked identical. So I hope our kids don't take it for granted because I think it really is special. You've coached all over the state. You've coached all over the country in 2 different states, 3 different states. You've coached in Chicago as well. I mean, it's pretty special to have that quantity of people come and be interested in your programs. It's got to be a self-fulfilling thing.
Well, and it starts with the students. I mean,
Sure.
our student following is just great. I mean, they get so fired up, and with social media now, it always gets to be a little bit more
Feverish pitch.
needling each other that way. So, but it's all in fun, and it's our kids. We beat Franklin stormed the floor, and that's one of those things that they'll always remember being a part of that. And and I think anytime you get involved as a student base like that, it makes it special for the players, and that's what it's about.
And same thing goes for you. All those kids know each other. The student sections obviously know each other very closely.
Yeah.
And some of the finer points comes out in the social media. But it's just part of that culture. It's part of the atmosphere. It's part of what makes what we do on a daily basis special. It really does, because if they weren't doing that and they didn't show up, that means nobody cares.
Yeah.
But it's obvious that people are getting their money's worth this year with you two, with Franklin, and with anybody pretty much on any given night, whether the crowd's there or not. It's been phenomenal. And this 11 AAA tournament, man, is going to be something. Unfortunately, we talked about it off the air, that this 11 AAA tournament will be at Dixon. Let's talk about that for just a moment. What are some pros and cons of having the tournament at Dixon?
Well, obviously you got to travel a little bit, which I think we get a little bit spoiled here in Williamson County. We go down the road 5-6 minutes, and it's we're playing somewhere real close, and it's not a big deal. But most teams in the Middle Tennessee area have to travel and do a Dixon trip 3-4 times a year. So it's not that big a deal, but at the same time, it's a different kind of gym than we have in Williamson County. It's a big old
Airplane hangar.
and it's a little bit empty, and they put you on the baseline as a coach, and so you gotta have to adjust to that. But it's the same for everybody. So
As long as I'm still able to coach in the semis, it doesn't matter to me if it's Dixon, if it's an outside park, or wherever we're playing. As long as Brentwood is there, I'm happy.
I meant to mention that. I'm not trying to put y'all in that game already because I don't want to be. I don't want to ruin your mojo. But you got work to do to get to Dixon.
Without a doubt.
So once we get there, it's all good, man. It's basketball. We're going to go play basketball. I hate it for the fact that I want our student sections to be thick there. I want them to travel. So hopefully they'll make that trip down there. And then, of course, the regions, we get back into our world, thank goodness, and Brentwood. And I know you don't want to play gracious host. You want to win that thing on your floor. So I know that how important this first round game is for you. So before we get to those games, let's get to tonight's games. This is going to be something. This is, if you have not seen these two teams play, buy a ticket, come watch these teams play, because it's going to be some competition. It's got the best of both worlds. You ask me. You've got size and good shooters on one side, and you've got speed and tenacity on defense on the other. Not that you're not great shooters, don't get me wrong. It's almost two different styles kind of coming together on this game. So talk about Brentwood.
Well, first, it starts with coaching. I mean, Coach Shirley's turned into one of my good friends in coaching, so it's always fun to talk. We'll talk a lot of times, even after games that we're playing other teams. But it's always fun to play against somebody that you know is going to know everything about you, and you got to try to find that little wrinkle, that little something to maybe get you over the hump. And he's doing the same thing. He knows our team real well, and we're going to know his team real well. And so it's just a matter of these games coming down to the end, and who's gonna make a play at the end of the game. And that's what it's about. And when we play these guys, I think the last number of times it's gone down right to the wire. And so that's what we expect, and hopefully we'll be on top this time. He had our number in the tournament last time, and he's had our number this year. So,
Coach Shirley, same question to you. Centennial.
Yeah, I think he just mentioned it there. I mean, our district tournament championship last year had to be as good of a district tournament championship that Williamson County's had. It was an amazing game.
Yeah.
Ton of respect for Coach. Everything we call, they already have a very good understanding of what's going to happen. So I know Coach is going to have them completely coached up and ready to go. At utmost respect for Coach Froedden and his program. Great athleticism. Both teams have a lot of players back that were on the big stage last year, and it's going to be exciting. We got to make sure we get back and got to cover the shooters.
It's one of those games it's pretty memorable. You go back to that game. There's two games that I can really think of that sticks out in my mind. Three in the basketball on the boys' side was my first year here was a state championship game. Brentwood versus Hamilton came down to, a bucket when Brentwood came storming back from 15 down. Another game was the semis with Grayson Murphy against John Carter and that Summit group that was so good. And then you take that last year's championship game with y'all. I mean, those three games stick out in my mind. Now, let's look at personnel. Personnel right now, you both are playing 8 players, 9 players. Jack Thurman, Ben Mills, Preston Moore, Harry Lackey, Cole Massey, Joey McPherson, John Winley, John Franklin Burt for Brentwood. You look at Cole Massey, had a great week this past week, can shoot the three, a big, long body that you got to get out and guard, 6'4", can stroke it out there. Ben Mills, double-double machine inside, great spin move, one way or the other. Kind of been the Achilles heel. If he can stay out of foul trouble, he's going to be, he's tough, a tough force for your matchup inside. You look on the Centennial side, Trey Carlton, Alex Qualls, Isaiah Poor, Dusty Williams, Garrett Justice, Patrick Garrett, Andrew Ellison, Carter Speedy, and Ben Brown. You look at that group, Dusty Williams, really good player. I kind of gauge the Centennial Cougars as how Dusty plays. Trey's going to be Trey. Right. Trey's going to be Trey. I mean, I think the argument can be made, and we've said it a lot. Trey is, you can take him in the bag and shake him up, no specific order. Top 3 players in the district.
Yeah.
Trey Carlton. I know as coaches we hate to, I'm picking them out, not y'all, so you don't have to say yes or no. I think you got Trey Carlton, I think you got Jack Thurman, I think you got Reese Glover. I think those are the top 3 players in the district. You've got some other players that are great too, don't get me wrong, but I think those 3 have proven through their careers and how they've played up to this point to be really good players. Trey's going to be Trey. Dusty Williams gets double digits. Centennial's hard to beat.
Well, and you hit it on the head. And Dusty's been a little up and down this year for us, but he is a spectacular talent, and he's playing well right now, and that's what's exciting about our team, because when he plays well, we are a different team. But you're right, Trey's a winner. I mean, that's just the best way to describe him.
I think his maturity level, he has really grown over this past summer. You see the leadership on him. Forget the leadership of we're going to the bench and I'm talking to him. I'm talking about he knows when to go. He knows when to whoa. He's making the right decisions, and he's earned the right to take a couple of shots that maybe you don't like, but it's Trey. He's going to make those shots.
Yeah. No, we talk about that a lot. And, if you were just a pass first point guard, pass second point guard,
right,
it's pretty easy. That's what I played. I had an easy job, I had good players to play with, and you throw it to them.
Don't turn it over, just get it to them.
That's easy. That's easy basketball. But he's a little bit different. He's a scoring point guard. He's got to try to figure out when to try to make a play for himself. I think you agreed Preston's probably more in that role now. His role has changed over the years, where in the first year or two, he probably was a little bit more passing. Now, it's harder. It's harder for those guys. Now they turn it over a little bit, trying to do too much for themselves. Do they look for other teammates? It's a little bit more tough. So
he's unpressable. I've yet to see anybody contain him in the press. Only way you can press them is make sure he does not catch the ball and hope that he gets out of the way down the court. I mean, he really isn't. I mean, you can't. He's almost untrappable in the full court.
Yeah, I look at Trey. Trey can make plays. we talk about who can make a play when the offense completely breaks down. Yeah, I look at Trey, and he can create his own shot. I think, just like Jack Thurman, the shots that he hits, most coaches would think it would be a terrible shot, but he can create shots even when
Sure can.
closely covered.
He's kind of that sneaky quick. He's got that first step. He's got in his eyes. If he gets to the elbow, if Jack Thurman gets to the elbow, you can ring it up. He's shooting about 70. I don't have a shot chart, but I promise you he's probably shooting 70% from each elbow, and that's his shot. If he gets to the elbow off the drive, specifically going left, buckets, you can book it. So there's your scouting.
All right, I got
so
it.
good luck stopping that, because you can't stop that. But he mentioned something too. Preston Moore, it's a great point. Preston Moore went from a non-scoring role to scoring double digits and being a factor offensively in the game outside of facilitating. That's got to be huge for your team.
Yeah, I made a comment to a college coach last year. He had his restricted license, and this year I kind of gave him the keys to the car and letting him push it up the floor and be Preston. Just a tough young man, plays really hard, plays with a lot of great energy every single night.
So talk real quick in the half-court offense, your offense. You always know Brentwood's always been the trademark half-court offense
Right.
team. So what I love and cannot wait to see in this game, I think defensively you probably are the best half-court man-to-man defensive team there is. You're up the line, you press, you push the offensive, tend to push the offenses towards the out-of-bounds lines and towards half-court a little bit more than the normal team. So what gives in this game, man? What do you talk about to your guys when we go through plays getting ready for Centennial?
Well, he's going to mix it up. So he's going to play up the line, but then he also has 2 or 3 other shades of the team that he's going to throw at us. So we're not going to see up the line the whole game unless it's working.
Because when you play Brentwood, what is synonymous with Brentwood? If you play them up the line, they're going to.
No, they're going to backdoor you. They're going to do some things. But here's the deal. He's right. We have to. And the reason you have to is because they're so good at executing. They execute their stuff. And so if you give them a heavy dose of anything, they're going to figure it out. And, you know, I'm watching tape this morning, actually, and I'm watching them try to figure out something against a zone and take their time to do it. Most teams don't have the patience to take their time. Most teams are going to try to do something too quick and rush something, and they don't do that. And that's a credit to him and what they do.
So how hard is that to sell in today's society where everybody wants to get up and down the floor? And they have to understand that is a strength. The opposing coach just told you that's a strength, but that's hard to sell to kids, right?
I think the players believe in their teammates. They know if they share. We talk about the word Gretzky when they make not the assist, but the pass before the assist. So they've bought into it because they know they're going to get the ball back. So they believe in each other.
And how important is that, man? Here, 2 games left. We looking at the crystal ball, which y'all hate to talk about. You got Independence at home. You're on the road at Ravenwood. You both know once we get through this game, it's going to be a mental fatigue, potentially. We don't want to overlook these last 2 games because we've got unfinished business to do. So best of luck to both of you. I cannot wait for this game tonight. Get out there at Centennial. Brentwood's going to be there tonight, 6 o'clock tip-off for the girls. It's going to be fun. It's going to be fast. It's going to be furious. And then the Level AAA tournament, you better get your tickets now because it's going to be awesome. Congrats, guys, on a great season. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you.
We'll see you next time.